Finally, the carbon fibre styling parts are on the car. We're going to show you what's been done, explain why it's taken so long, and update you on 2 other styling changes, one of which has also changed the steering and the handling of the car for the better. I'm so happy with the way the car's looking now. It's looking pretty much as I imagined, but unfortunately it has taken over 3 years to get here.
That's just ridiculous, but there's a good reason for it, which we'll tell you in a second.
And these aren't the only carbon upgrades on the car. We've also got the all-new Nissan 370 Action Invisible Selfie Stick. This is an all-new carbon fibre stick, and we've got their new dual and triple suction mount system for creating those impossible driving shots that you would have seen in our videos.
Now, thanks to Nissan 360 for sponsoring this video. We're going to be checking out this kit a little bit later, but for now, let's get a proper look at these new carbon Aero bits and tell you a bit more about why they took so long to get on. Let's just go over the parts really quickly. First off, we have the Carbon Signal 3-piece carbon fibre front splitter. Looks absolutely epic on the car, really follows the body lines. On the side, we've also got the Carbon Signal side skirt that stops a little bit shorter. I actually really like this. Let us know in the comments how you feel about that. On the rear, we have the Fly One Motorsport rear diffuser. Now, rear diffuser, because we're very adamant that it's not a rear diffuser because it's not functional.
Either it's going to accelerate the air off of a flat floor, or it's going to have some sort of outlet for air to go over the top of it as well as over the bottom of it, and this is just literally a cover for the rear bumper valance.
But it looks freaking awesome in my opinion and gives it that diffuser style, and because it follows the lines of the car, it really follows the extra carbon bits that we've got. The extension to the wing, the extension to the valance, the extension to the sides, and the extension to the front. It's all a very OEM plus squared, I like to call it. But we're standing outside talking about this in this ridiculous English late summer heat wave that we've got going. Let's take a seat, get a cold drink, and go over the story. Right, nearly 3 years ago, this man filmed a video test fitting his carbon bits onto that very car. But there were a few imperfections on the car that you wanted to fix.
But the problem I had was that the person I'd been using for the previous 15 years to do all of my paintwork on my car had retired, so I had to find someone new to do the paint and fitting the carbon parts.
Now, we got a recommendation for one place and they seemed good, had us booked in, it was all looking great, but we just kept getting pushed back, and that was over around a 6-month period. So we just decided they're gonna mess us around, we're gonna go and find somewhere else.
And then someone else gave me a recommendation and they seemed amazing. Now, I make that sound like it will happen in a few days, but believe me, I was looking for ages and meeting with different body shops and asking people for recommendations. It took about a year just to find the place to do the work. Plus we started another channel, JM and Friends. I got busy. Let's just say getting round to it wasn't easy, but eventually we did, and the car went in and it sat there for a while waiting for the work to be done. Now, it turned out in the end that, let's just say there were a few issues that are yet to be rectified. Ultimately, honestly, I think it looks great. What do you think?
I think it looks wicked. The paintwork is in such great condition, but let's go back to the car to actually look at the paint.
And there she is, looking absolutely gorgeous. Now, talking about the paint, this is a pearl paint. So where they've cleaned up all of the front, they had to actually match the paint, both the sparkle, the pearl. It didn't actually match exactly off of the paint coat. They spent about 6 hours mixing and remixing paint in order to try and get the right finish, and they did get this one thing right.
But there are a few other subtle bits. For example, on the Nismo, you get this grey, sparkly colour, but on other parts, they would have this black textured paint. It almost just looked like a bare black plastic that didn't match anything else. On, for example, this bit that goes along here, grille, and this bit here. Now, we decided to get that to match in the grey. It all just ties in a lot better. It's very subtle.
And another thing that I've changed is the front number plate. So those of you who have been following the channel for a while will know that I had a different plate before that ended in ANT. My name's Ant, but I wanted something that had the SNT for sports and touring on it. 23 is actually the official race number for Nissans, because in Japanese, 2 is Ni and 3 is Sun.
Now, I really wanted you to get V6 SNT, because V10 SNT on the R8, V6 SNT would have looked great, but that's a £6,000 number plate, which I'm not really sure is worth it just for a number plate.
I also want to talk about the fact that the car is now sitting a little bit lower, but we'd be better off talking about that while we're on the road.
First, we need to get some shots to use as cutaways in the rest of the video. Now, every shot in the opening sequence to this video was filmed with an Insta360 camera, but the one that usually gets the most attention is that chase shot. Mounting the camera for these shots previously relied on cobbled together suction mounts and clamps. Until now. Insta360 have sent us their all-new X3 dual/triple car suction mount system, specifically designed to capture these shots. It uses a pump action suction system, makes sure these are securely attached to a clean, smooth surface. It's versatile and adjustable and comes in several price points for the dual or the triple configurations. The triple mount is like having a 2-in-1 since it can be set up as a dual mount for a lower profile or as the more stable triple mount if you're driving at higher speeds. This has been designed specifically for speeds up to 100 km an hour, around 60 miles an hour. The new carbon fiber 1-meter action invisible selfie stick is stiffer and lighter and is sold separately, but it will be available as part of a full package with the suction mount kits. More information via the link at the end of this video. Now, the new action selfie stick, of course, is invisible, but the suction mounts aren't. So if you see any shots where the suction mounts don't seem to be there, that's because I go the extra mile to erase those in post-production. Now, thanks to the magic of editing, you'll see the shots we got while we tell you about the unexpected steering and handling effects of the final styling change, ride height.
When the coilovers first got fitted to this car, it was sitting much lower. It got preemptively raised before the carbon because we were very anxious about scraping it everywhere.
And with the carbon parts fitted, it was clear that the car could sit just a little bit lower. So I took a trip to Abbey Motorsport because when you drop the ride height, you need to adjust the suspension geometry, and why not do it all at once?
All we did was we measured the wheel gap from the rim to the wheel arch on the front, rim to the wheel arch on the back. Found that there was a 3mm difference, as in the front was higher, because I had moved it up to the maximum on the front because I wasn't sure how much clearance the splitter was going to have. What we did is, rather than just reduce it by 3mm, we actually reduced it by 5mm. A 3mm change on the collar, which amplified out via the lever effect to a 5mm drop. And at first I was like, no, we should go with the 3mm, but I stood and I looked at it and I was like, no, actually, I like it. I mean, what do you think of how it looks now?
I think it looks great.
Now, one of the things that I talked about in the spacer video was how I felt like the feel on the steering had just been washed out a little bit by putting the spacers on. Now, interestingly, by lowering the front, just really to get the look of the car, what happens is the camber of the front wheels kind of increases or decreases, has negative camber, more negative camber. And as a result, that plus neutralizing the toe, these cars are normally set up with a slight toe in. This is now a 0-degree toe. Those two things combined have really improved the feel of the steering. Now, this could be that it's marginally put a little bit of weight on the front. It could be the camber. It could be that that's accidentally added a little extra caster, so you get a little bit more weight in the wheel. All combined to make the handling of this car feel so much better. Now, you probably can't feel this from the passenger seat because you're not actually interacting with the wheel, but you're just gonna have to take my word for it.
But now that it's on and it's lower again, you've got the hydraulic lift system on the front anyway, which means that you're pretty safe over speed bumps, steep driveways, and it looks great now. And the fact that the front was dropped but the back stayed where it was, the rake just looks even more aggressive.
I love it. Honestly, that's one of the reasons I kept it. And after I took it for a test drive, honestly, it's the best the car has ever driven. The best. I mean, I don't remember this car ever cornering quite as well, turning in quite as well. It's brilliant. And I could have gone a bit lower, but I really didn't want to mess about too much with, you know, risking it bottoming out on a sort of bumpy, undulating road like the one we're on right now.
So since everything went on the car, pretty soon afterwards, you went down to a Z meet to see how those guys would react to it.
Yeah, and the reactions were quite positive.
It really does go well well, to be honest. It looks subtle, it looks like it's factory, but obviously not straight factory. It looks like it's the optional extras you've paid to have them put on from factory. But yeah, definitely looks nice.
And it definitely inspires me to do a similar kind of thing, for sure. I've got an Nismo the same as yours, but in black, and I think it suits it really well. So yeah, it looks OEM standard, really. So impressive, yeah.
I really like that carbon, that's lovely. I'm just getting jealous of you now. Front split with a red touch to it, the white, the gloss to it as well, and the carbon, 3 pieces it. That wouldn't last 5 minutes in my car. That's a lovely touch, that is. It's
I've
really
got a
nice.
hydraulic front lift on it.
Oh, have you?
To save
You
me.
need that, do you?
Yeah.
That's really nice, I like that.
And I promise you, I didn't tell them anything about what I was trying to achieve in advance. I just asked them for an honest opinion. But overall, I think the car looks good. The way the parts fit, it's not quite factory, but it's about as close as I think you can get with aftermarket stuff for a car like this. Maybe if it was parts for a Lamborghini, and maybe if you were then paying 5 times as much for these parts, then you might have expected them to be more of a perfect fit. But you know, for the price of these parts, I actually don't remember exactly what I paid for them. They weren't cheap.
This is YouTube. £10,000 per carbon panels. It's £100,000 carbon setup. Well, at the end of the day, the car looks the best it's ever done. It handles the best it's ever done. And it's just freaking epic, isn't it?
Honestly, I've fallen in love all over again. Once again, thanks to Insta360 for sponsoring this video and sending us their all-new dual/triple car suction mount. It has performed so well all day long, and I'm genuinely impressed with the quality of it. To get yours, or for more information like pricing, please check the link in the description and the pinned comment below.
If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, choose all notifications so you don't miss any of the future videos, and we'll see you guys next time on Sports and Touring.